we're gonna be taking you through exactly how we plan a trip from A to Z. We've planned bucket list trips all around the world with countries that we've never spoken the language to, as well as even places here in the US to get to some hidden gems. So we're gonna be walking you through every step along the way.
Since planning a trip can be pretty overwhelming, especially for new timers to travel, we thought we would help share some tips and tricks to get you guys traveling like a pro.
If you guys are new here, I'm Steven.
And I'm Giselle.
And we're the Lover's Passport, and this year we are focusing on doing a new bucket list experience every single month. So far, we've been in Finland under the Northern Lights. We've been in Australia experiencing the Great Barrier Reef. We just got back from Japan and saw the beautiful cherry blossoms there. And if you want to see more bucket list experiences, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe for more fun adventure content.
And with that, let's get right on into planning a trip.
Number one is determining your budget. Figure out exactly how much you want to spend on your weekend, or month-long bucket list trip. If you're just spending a little weekend, for instance, let's say we want to go on a Utah road trip, your budget is probably going to be a lot smaller compared to, let's say you're doing a bucket list experience to Japan. You're going to have to pay for flights over there, hotel rooms, accommodations, different ways of transport. So immediately figure out what kind of budget you're trying to work with. When we first started, we did small weekend trips, and that was within our budget. We were both working full-time jobs. We had just got out of college. We didn't have a lot of money to blow on these big expensive trips. So we would sleep in the back of our car. We would go shop for all of our groceries and cook at our campsite. And we built up to bigger trips, and maybe once or twice a year, we would take a trip to Iceland and experience the volcanoes and these amazing places. But it was a much more expensive trip. So right off the bat, whether you're going by yourself, as a couple, or with a group of people, figure out your budget and how much you're willing to spend. There's really three different types of budget travelers. There's the backpacker traveler, or are you more of your everyday traveler? Someone that has some disposable income, maybe they'll rent a car. And then there's the luxury traveler. Are you trying to stay at the best 5-star resorts? Are you trying to eat at all the Michelin star restaurants? What type of category you're gonna be in? And then look at the 4 main things that you're gonna be spending money on. Number 1 is excursions. Are you gonna wanna go scuba diving? Are you gonna wanna go skydiving? Are you gonna want a boat tour? All of those cost money. Number 2 is making sure you save on transportation. Do you wanna rent a car? Do you want to try and just use public transport? All of these are great options, and it really depends on how much you're trying to see. Next is going to be where you stay. Are you gonna stay in an Airbnb? Are you gonna stay in a hotel? Or are you gonna camp? Or maybe you're gonna try and surf on someone's couch. The last thing that you can really save budget on is food. Are you going to be eating out every single meal? Or are you gonna be stopping at the local grocery store and getting a ton of food? Maybe you only have that 1 week off or 2 weeks off per year and you wanna blow a bunch of money, then that's great. That you determined your budget.
Next up is choosing your destination. So now that you've decided on a budget, it will kind of eliminate a lot of different locations. If you were doing the budget backpacker route, Iceland, for example, is probably not gonna be your best move because it's a very expensive destination. So when you're choosing destinations, maybe consider, are you going there for the culture? Are you going there for art? History? But typically I will try and get travel inspiration from a ton of creators on Instagram, on Pinterest, on blogs, and there's lots of good recommendations for both very well-known places as well as hidden gems. So that's another thing you're gonna wanna decide on when you're choosing destination. And I'll just save folders throughout whenever I'm scrolling on social media, and that will give me a ton of inspiration for the future. Next up, you're going to choose your travel dates. So this one may be a no-brainer for some people that have a more rigid schedule. Let's say you're working a 9 to 5 and you only get 1 week off per year, then that is gonna limit your dates. So that's one way to do it. What Steven and I like to do is we sign up for a ton of fare drop notifications where they'll email us tons of different flight deals. And so we typically keep our schedule open and we'll choose our dates surrounding when the flights are the cheapest. But the biggest thing when it comes to choosing dates is your destination seasonality. For example, we just went to Japan and we had the goal the whole trip, we wanted to go see cherry blossoms, and that is a very specific time of the year. So you're gonna wanna go in March to April for that. If you wanna do a lot of outdoorsy things on your vacation, typically you're gonna wanna go in the destination summertime. However, there are some tropical destinations that have a really wet season during the summertime. So that's something I always look at when planning a trip is when is the wet season of a destination? When is the best time for hiking or outdoorsy weather? Definitely look up when is the best time to go snorkeling, scuba diving, XYZ. And the last thing I typically look up is when is the peak season versus the off season? All those questions, simple pop into Google, Instagram, etc. You will probably find some answers.
Next up is booking your flights. Now this part is super important. Flights can be very, very expensive, and we want to help you find the best deals. This has helped us literally just score Hawaii flights for $23 and 7,000 points both back and forth from California, which is mind-blowing how cheap that is. First up is going to be Google Flights. This is a great way to track flights. You can set flight alerts so it instantly is going to email you when your flights drop. We're tracking some flights to Alaska and Italy, so every single time flights drop a little bit, we check and say, oh, is it a good time to buy? What are the dates looking like? And it also tells you dates that are cheaper. So if you were to travel on, let's say, Tuesday to Friday compared to a Friday and Monday, it's gonna suggest which dates are gonna be cheaper. So highly recommend looking at Google Flights and setting flight alerts if you have a specific destination you're trying to get to. Skyscanner is our second spot that we go. We love this because you can also choose an everywhere flight plan. So if you don't really have a specific destination you wanna go, you just wanna look for cheaper flights, you can select everywhere, select the travel dates if you want to figure out where you should go, and it'll list out a ton of different destinations with different prices that are cheap and affordable. These next two are our personal favorites, and we've used them a lot in the past few months. Number one is Thrifty Traveler Premium, and they basically are just going to send you an email whenever there is a mistake fare or whenever there's a big cheap flight alert. It's not going to tell you exactly the airports that you want to fly to though. They're going to be random. So we set our home airport for Los Angeles International Airport. So anytime there is a travel day or a flight that drops in price from LAX to anywhere in the world, it's going to email us. This platform is super worth it, and we have a discount code for them. We'll link it right down here. It is the Lover's Passport. It's going to save you $10 off of your Thrifty Traveler Premium Pro membership. Next is going to be FareDrop. FareDrop is another awesome one. Some of our favorite YouTubers created this, and it's basically the same thing as Thrifty Traveler, but it gives you different options. So we signed up for both of them, so that way we can see all of Thrifty Traveler's best recommendations as well as all of FareDrop's. It just gives us some flexibility in case one has an option where the other one does not. The last thing regarding flights is you always want to make sure you look through the travel portals and travel credit cards. This year we've really started to get into travel hacking. If you want to see our previous YouTube video on travel hacking, we'll go ahead and put it right up here. We'll also link a blog down below which has our full intro to travel hacking, so you can go ahead and look at all of the ways and credit cards that we're recommending and using for our personal benefit. Sometimes you can get really good rates as well as transfer partners, so that way you're not stuck just flying only Southwest or just flying only Delta, and make sure you're always using the credit card points or credit cards to try and score that, as long as you're responsible with them. It really comes down to, are you good with a credit card or not? After you book your flights, the next thing you're gonna wanna book is your accommodations. You are gonna wanna do this pretty far in advance. We recommend 2 to 3 months in advance minimum, because that's when things start to get booked out very, very quickly. Budget has a big thing to do with what you're going to book. We're gonna go through hotels, Airbnbs, hostels, and Vrbo, which one we're using, why we're not using some of them, and what we would recommend for you. So if you are a solo traveler, I would highly recommend, honestly, a hostel. They're very, very affordable. They're not great, let's say if you have a big family or if you're traveling with a big group, but if you are a solo traveler looking to meet other like-minded people in that area, we would highly recommend hostels, and that would be our top pick for that. If there's just 2 of you guys, and depending on what you're looking at, I would highly recommend looking at a hotel personally. Now, you might be like, why wouldn't you just book an Airbnb? We just finished an Airbnb where we had to do the laundry, we had to clean everything, we had to do all the dishes, put everything away, and we still had to pay a cleaning fee. How crazy is that? Whereas in a hotel, we can leave it in whatever condition we want and get out of there, so we can spend more time adventuring and less time cleaning the place where we stayed. If you're staying with a group of maybe 5 to 6, it might make the Airbnb more worth it, because you can all split it up as well as you get to stay in a very unique accommodation, maybe in a cool spot that you wouldn't get to do with a hotel. We always are comparing Airbnbs to Vrbos as well, because Vrbo is another platform that a lot of people have started to use, and it doesn't get as much of the crazy cleaning fees and cover charges as Airbnb. So we always look at all of them, compare prices, see what you're looking for, and make sure the location where you're trying to stay is good relative to what you want to do.
Next up, we have planning your itinerary. This is the really fun part, or at least for me, I do most of our itinerary planning. So this is exactly how I plan a trip itinerary. First, I start by doing a ton of research on blogs. So I just scour Google, I type in all the keywords. So for example, our next trip is to backpack into the Grand Canyon and Havasupai. Super fun trip, and we've actually done it before. But if I was a newbie who hasn't done it before, I would go into Google and I would type something along the lines of Havasupai backpacking planning guide. And then I would go from there and go find all these blogs. Another way to find blogs besides just Google is by utilizing Pinterest. Really awesome platform. You do essentially the same thing. I use it as a search engine, and tons of resources are posted to Pinterest every day. And a little hack I like to use on Pinterest is if you see a photo on Instagram that you like and you want to visit, if you screenshot that photo and you run it through Pinterest on your mobile device, there's a search bar feature where you click it in and then there's a little camera. So they'll actually scan your photo and find blogs that are referring back to the same, if not similar photos. And that's how I've been able to find a lot of places if someone doesn't geotag on Instagram, or if you're just looking for really cool spots that you've seen before and you have no context whatsoever. That's a really cool way to find those places that you want to go see without having to ask anyone else. I also use Instagram. Like I said, there's tons and tons of creators like ourselves that put out itineraries and guides on different destinations. So that's a really helpful tool as well. And then I will take all those locations that I have found and put them into a Google My Maps. It's a really good way to really see where everything you want to do is in correlation to your accommodations, and kind of figure out a good game plan on which way you want to do things and in what order they are. This is great for my visual people to see it all laid out before you figure out your route and things like that. And then once you do that, I typically will go on tour booking operating platforms such as like Viator or Get Your Guide, and I will actually look at the destination. So I will go, for example, our last trip was to Japan. So I'll go on Viator and look up Tokyo must-see highlights tour. And typically it will have an outline of their tour itinerary in the description box. So you can actually just do it yourselves if you're comfortable doing that, if you are already familiar on the area. And it was nice because we could still see the highlights, but we weren't restricted to a tour group time where they kind of just take you and you have 15 minutes and you leave, which we've had experiences with in the past. So this way, you're making sure you don't miss anything, and you have a lot more flexibility when it comes to your itinerary. Once you have all of that together, then it's time to research some local customs and etiquette and language and things like that. So like I said before, blogs typically will include all of that information, but it's very important that you do look this up ahead of time, especially when it comes to entry requirements for other countries, other states. Especially in the post-pandemic era, there may still be some certain restrictions that you want to look up in advance. So for example, whenever we're going to a new country, I will make sure to look up visa requirements. Sometimes it's not necessary depending on your passport, and sometimes you need to get a visa in advance. Sometimes you need to do a visa on arrival. Sometimes it's some other paperwork or form. So just always make sure to look up that in advance. The second thing would be COVID restrictions. Does a place require masks? Does it require vaccinations? Does it require a PCR or an antigen test? Because there are still some places that do require that stuff. So just keep that in mind. If you are having a connecting flight, sometimes you might need those type of papers for the country that you are connecting in the airport for. So definitely check out that as well if you are not doing a nonstop flight to a new destination. And then when it comes to a new language barrier, if you are traveling somewhere that you don't know the language of, I always make sure to download that language in Google Translate before I leave, so I still have Wi-Fi and things like that. And that will save you a lot in the long term. We used Google Translate quite a bit when we were in Japan because none of us spoke Japanese, but it was actually very easy to get around, and the conversation feature on Google Translate is super awesome and translates in real time, so you can have a conversation with 2 different languages going on. Next up, you'd want to look up currency, see if the place that you're going needs needs cash, accepts credit cards, accepts what type of credit cards. If you guys are withdrawing cash, we highly recommend doing your research as well on which ATMs or which areas will give you the best exchange rate in advance. And if you have a credit card that you're using internationally, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have one that doesn't have foreign transaction fees. Otherwise, it's gonna add up quite a bit during your trip. And then once you have all that paperwork sorted out, make sure you have a digital copy of everything just in case you lose your physical copy. And we'd always recommend giving your itinerary to a friend or family member just for safety reasons, as well as getting travel insurance before you go. We use Allianz travel insurance. There's tons of other ones out there. But if you are planning a trip by yourself for the first time and something were to go wrong, travel insurance really has your back. Usually if a trip gets delayed, canceled, trip insurance is gonna be your best friend, as well as using travel credit cards. A lot will also come with a ton of different protections.
Last thing is packing. Now, we've come up with a great packing system. This is a very minimal style packing system. We actually got it from the Tripped Packing Gear Guide that we just did. So it really comes down to three main things. There is the most important day, there is your favorite day, and there is your travel day. So that's our mentality when it comes to packing. Hopefully it helps you pack lighter. I remember when we first started, we used to bring like way more clothes. I used to bring 5 pair of pants for a 5-day trip. You don't need that many stuff. Giselle used to bring 7 black leggings for a 3-day trip. We don't need that much stuff. Bring the stuff that is a necessity, and it's gonna make your travel experience so much better. If you guys wanna see our exact suitcase that we use, we'll link them down below. We use the Away luggage bags. They are awesome. We have a carry-on and a bigger version, and we use Tripped Packing Cubes. We'll link those down below as well. If you guys wanna see our full how we pack video for Finland, one of the trips that we had to pack the most for, we'll go ahead and link it down below.
Last but not least, you're gonna wanna make sure if you're traveling out of your country that your passport is good to go for at least 6 months. I've had a ton of friends not know this, and
Hi, Karen.
I've had a ton of friends unfortunately not know this and then get denied entry for certain locations because a lot of them do require that you have at least over a 6-month away expiration date, just in case you were to get stranded in the country for some reason, that you would be fine to stay there. I know it might be a silly rule, but it's enforced in a lot of different places. And make sure you check the weather before you go in advance, because we've done that quite a few times where you're planning these trips out months and months in advance, and then you're finally leading up to the trip and you see it's gonna be like hailing all week, or like a tropical storm rolls in on your nice Bora Bora vacation and it's the end of the world. So just make sure to check that in advance, because your activities may get canceled, you may need to pack differently, things like that. Very important.
That is it for how we plan all of our trips from A to Z. Hopefully you learned one little tip that's going to help you plan your next bucket list trip. We've hit over 20 countries together now with all of these tips, and we're excited to bring you on for more adventures to different countries and hopefully every US state this year. If that interests you, make sure to give us a like and subscribe and join the adventure family. So hopefully we can give you more tips as we travel around the world.
And with that, we will see you back next week on another adventure.
All right, say goodbye, Karen. Bye.